Hey y'all, welcome to another chit chat and homework and chit chat. Tonight I'm gonna be doing some homework, so I'll give y'all a couple seconds to come in and then we'll start doing some homework together. Welcome. For those who are watching the replay, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for tuning into this replay. If you're watching the replay, I'm going to start shortly. What I'm going to do for tonight is I actually have a paper to write, so I'm not going to write this paper in front of you, but what I'm going to do is the paper is based on a documentary, so I'm going to play the documentary and I'm going to watch the documentary with you. So we're going to do some homework together. I'm not going to tell you guys the questions that I have to answer because I don't want you guys to give me any form of input or any help on the documentary or on the questions. But what I will say is the documentary, the name of it is The Orphan Trains. So it's 55 minutes long. So this is going to be a long live. So if you're here, thank you for coming. If you're staying, thank you for staying. But you guys are going to be helping me do my homework tonight. So I'm going to play that documentary and then we'll have some fun. So it's about 7:20 right now. I'm getting that documentary ready for y'all. Let me just check to make sure that I'm actually live on YouTube. I'm going to use my phone, but you guys know that when I'm live, I really shouldn't be using my phone because if I'm doing homework, my phone will absolutely distract me. So give me a second. Use my phone to make sure I'm actually live. And I can't see if I'm live. Wait. I don't know. It's not showing me. Wait, let me turn down my phone volume and actually click it and see because this is weird. I don't know if I'm live. I can't tell. I'm looking at my phone and I don't even know if I'm live. All right, you know what? It's recording somewhere. So if I'm not live on YouTube, then at least I can find this replay somewhere. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wait. I think I'm live. Let me just check and see. Am I on the stage? See, I don't know how to use StreamYard. I really don't know how to use StreamYard. So I'm here trying to do this live and I still don't know how to use StreamYard. So let me start this documentary. Hold on. Okay, it starts from 0. Make sure it plays. Okay, it plays. Y'all, I'm so sorry for this in advance. If you actually stay and watch this documentary, yes, it's in black and white, but I got to do this for my homework. So I got to write a paper on this. So I'm going to play the documentary. And if you want to stay, you can stay. If not, it'll just be me looking at myself in my pink shirt and my pink lipstick and watching the documentary. So again, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Thank you for tuning into this replay. If you're still here, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications so you can see when I go live. And I'm going to put on the documentary. So let's see. Uh-oh, I blanked. I literally just opened my mouth and just blanked. Y'all can't even see my hair. My hair still looks nice. Okay, let's see. Share screen. Oh, that's not share screen. Share screen, and we're gonna share the movie. The movie is here. And what I'll do is, let's turn on the volume. Y'all, I still can't see if I'm live or not. I really can't see if I'm live or not. I don't know. It's not. Oh, I am live. Y'all, I figured it out. I'm live. Look, I'm live. Okay. So now that I know that I'm live, I'm going to go ahead and share this video and I'm going to finally start the documentary that I've been talking about for 5 minutes. It's called The Orphan Trains. And again, I'm sorry in advance if you're here and you're watching this. It is in black and white, but I got to do this for homework. I'm going to be taking notes. So let me get my notebook. Oop, I got some water. Get my trusted notebook for my grad school. Got my pen, because you know my pens are important. And we are going to, let's find a good page. Again, the name of this book is The Orphan Trains. Well, no, not the book. The name of the documentary is The Orphan Trains. And without further ado, we're going to start. So let me put this on the stage. And I'm going to play it. Let me know.
Tonight on The American Experience, some were orphans, some lived on the streets, others were merely poor. All would be sent far away.
She said very early, you will arise and board a train to go to find a new home.
150,000 children, an unforgettable journey. The Orphan Trains, tonight on The American Experience. Major funding for the American Experience is provided by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation to enhance public understanding of the role of technology in American society, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, and the annual financial support of viewers like you.
And by Miracle Grow plant food. For flowers, for vegetables, whatever you grow, a gardener's true friend is Miracle Grow.
Major funding for this program was provided by the National Endowment for the Humanities.
Good evening and welcome to the American Experience. I'm David McCullough. One sure measure of the heart and soul of any society is how it treats its children. Tonight, you're about to see an extraordinary film on the subject, The Orphan Trains. And behind the film is a remarkable story. A few years back, two film producers, Janet Graham and Edward Gray, were taken down into the dim basement of an old building on East 22nd Street in New York. It was the headquarters of the Children's Aid Society, the private charity which in times past, for 75 years, sent more than 100,000 orphaned or unwanted children from the streets of New York to new homes across rural America. Presiding over the basement was a tiny elderly woman named Ethel Lambert. I'd like to show you her photograph, but she hated to have her picture taken. She was a retired employee who, for years, had been working voluntarily to save stacks of old papers and records that she felt certain had historic value. By studying the building's architecture, she'd found a hidden closet behind old filing cabinets, and there she discovered a lost treasure. The 140-year-old diaries of Charles Loring Brace, founder of the Orphan Trains. There were scrapbooks of newspaper clippings, and most important of all to her, hundreds of letters from the children themselves, all organized year by year. Her dream was to create an archive so that future generations might read what happened in the words of the children, many of whom wrote of their fear that they'd be forgotten. Ethel Lambert was herself the mother of two children whom she had raised as a single parent. Fortunately, there are Ethel Lamberts everywhere in all parts of the country, people who stubbornly refuse to let the past be treated like rubbish. Were it not for this...
Y'all, I know I said that this was in black and white, but honestly, I don't even know. So hopefully we got some color now. Hopefully it stays in color. But again, I apologize in advance if it's in black and white because I have to watch this so I can write this paper. So you all can watch with me and then we can talk about it.
Ethel Lambert, who died before our film was completed, tonight's story would never have been told. For this reason, Janet Graham and Edward Gray have dedicated the film to her.
I'm 14 years old. Father died 3 years ago, and Mother died a year ago. I became a singing girl. I went on board the boats and sang. I am tired of singing. I would like to live with somebody.
In 1853, a plan to rescue thousands of New York street children was announced by a new charity, the Children's Aid Society. It would send the children to live with families in rural America. By 1929, the society had relocated over 100,000 orphaned, abandoned, or neglected children.
As far as I know, my father hit the bottle pretty heavy and they took us away from him. And my mother died when I was 2 years old.
My mother and I were very close because I was all she had and she was all I had. On January 7th of 1918, my mother came to the school and she had a suitcase. She was going to go and have tests, taken care of, see why she was having these awful headaches. That was the last I saw of her.
My mother bore 5 children, and she accepted responsibility for none. She just simply brought us children into the world and then let the rest of the world take care of us.
We were hungry. I don't ever recall taking a bath in a tub of water. We slept on old dirty mattresses on the floor, and the rats ran over our heads and through our hair lots of nights, and we'd wake up screaming with it. We don't know where our parents were. We never did know.
The trains that carried the children out of the city became known as orphan trains.
I knew that this was going to be my home from then on. But it seemed like it just kind of hit me when I got here that I had left everything behind, which I had. I didn't have my sister anymore. I didn't have my parents anymore. I didn't have any friends. They were total strangers. It just caught up with me all at once. But she was with me. Mrs. Carmen, she never left me for a minute, and she helped me get into bed. And that's when I began to cry, was when the emotion hit me, I think, when I went to get into bed. I still felt all alone, and yet I knew there was someone around me, but they were strangers. I didn't know them from Adam.
They had to find homes for those children up there in New York, and that was their way of doing it. And you couldn't do that now. Because people were different then. The world was different. They acted different and lived different. And they couldn't do a thing like that now.
This ambitious relocation effort began back in the 1850s in New York City, a time when 10,000 homeless children prowled the streets in search of money, food, shelter. 1,000 immigrants a day had been flooding into the city from rural America, from Europe. Work was scarce. Families crowded into shacks and tenements were easy prey to cholera, tuberculosis, and alcohol. The plight of these impoverished children became the obsession of a young minister, Charles Loring Brace. A member of a prominent Connecticut family, Brace had moved to New York City to complete his seminary training. He was horrified by the conditions he saw on the streets. As he wandered through the city, He talked with children, recording their stories in his diary.
May 19th, 1854. At dusk, I found a girl in the 6th Street begging. Gave her a loaf of bread and followed her home. This little girl, 9 years old, without a bonnet, barefooted and thinly clad, is sent out every day to beg for money. In the evening at 12 o'clock, went down to the coffee cellars where the newsboys congregate. They were not more than 10 or 12 years old, yet they had all the manners of old roués, drinking their coffee, smoking, and talking of gambling. Visited the 11th Ward in the afternoon. 5,000 children throng the streets at all times. The younger girls sweep the crosswalks. The older girls prostitute themselves.
Because of their wanderings, the children became known as street Arabs. Some joined violent gangs. Others survived by selling matches, newspapers, or pieces of old rags. Their numbers are almost incredible, said the chief of police. They are destined for a life of misery, shame, and crime.
When Mother was dying, she warned me against going to live with strangers. I became a singing girl. People said I had a good voice. I used to sing in the beginning to keep away those sad thoughts. But soon I made use of my voice for a living.
I go on board the boats and sing, and I gather as much money as I can. I have no other way of getting along. Sometimes I make very little by it, sometimes nothing. All the night I was out in the street, and no one spoke to me or asked me who I was.
The police began arresting vagrant children, some as young as 5, and locking them up with adult criminals. Reformers urged that children be sent to more modern institutions called houses of refuge and orphan asylums, where they could be trained. In an era when most children were expected to work, Brace argued against the asylums, said the skills they taught had little practical use.
The best of all asylums for the outcast child is the farmer's home. The great duty is to get these children of unhappy fortune utterly out of their surroundings and to send them away to kind Christian homes in the country.
Y'all, I don't want to watch this, but I want to get an A in this class, so I gotta watch this entire documentary. I'm here taking notes like I'm interested, but I'm really writing so I can stay awake. So if you're here and you're watching with me, thank you so much, because I'm struggling and I need something. I'm about to get me some candy or something so I can stay awake during this documentary. I had a long day at work and I'm tired, but homework is one of my priorities. School is my priority. I'm going to get an A. And in order to get this A, I got to actually watch the thing I'm going to write a paper on. So here we go. Back to watching.
Brace knew that the greatest need for labor was in the expanding farm country to the west, where there was a long tradition of employing children as apprentices and hired hands. He believed that America's Christian farmers would welcome the homeless children, not only give them work, but treat them as new sons and new daughters. He imagined sending tens of thousands to the country. In 1853, Brace founded the Children's Aid Society to arrange the trips, raise the money, obtain the legal permissions needed for relocation. To recruit likely children, Brace and his staff of volunteers visited orphanages and reformatories and the homes of impoverished parents.
Found one room not more than 12 foot by 10 with 2 women and 5 children. The boy, Peter Casey, would like to go to the country, but the mother said she would rather die than part with him. In general, the mothers do not like to part with their children, even to get them in much better situations.
But desperate parents often saw little hope. Many surrendered custody of their children in hopes of ensuring their survival.
This is to certify that I am the mother and only legal guardian of Hattie Moxley. I hereby freely and of my own will agree for the Children's Aid Society to provide a home until she is of age. I hereby promise not to interfere in any arrangements they may make.
To the children, surrender often meant an inexplicable break with their families.
I just finished eating, and this matron came by and tapped this one on the head. You're going to Texas. You're going to Texas. Well, some of the kids, clapped and laughed. She came to me. I looked up. I said, I can't go. I'm not an orphan. My mother's still living. She's in the hospital right here in New York. You're going to Texas. No use arguing.
We all had a certain place that we had to sit at a certain table, and we knew our place. We just ate our supper thinking the next day would be just another day. But the superintendent said, I have something to tell you. She said, you're going to take your baths, and you will be issued all new clothing, and tomorrow morning, very early, you will rise and board a train to go to find a new home.
I don't know what to think sometimes. Some of my brothers tell me that my biological father was no good. And he might have not been, but by the same token, if he was at the train, he was crying when we were taken from him. The man had to lay down at night and wondering where all his children were and everything. And regardless of the kind of man he was, he had to have a certain amount of love for his family, or he wouldn't have been at the station at all. And crying when we were taken from him. I'm sure that it was circumstances that he couldn't help.
3 times a month, agents of the society assembled the children into groups, ranging from 6 to 150. The groups were booked at a discount on regular passenger trains.
The trips were planned so as to arrive on Friday, usually leaving New York Tuesday noon. We filled one end of the car, or if the party was large enough, a coach was put on for us.
I do remember the children milling around outside the train waiting to be assigned our seats. The big problem was that you never knew what the future held for you. You had no idea what the future ever held for you. And that was a great concern and a great worry.
The journey usually lasted for 3 or 4 days. The children never left the train. They slept in their seats.
I didn't cry. I guess I was too angry to cry. We were going too far, too fast.
I've kept this suitcase as a souvenir all these years. Each one of us had one. And I don't suppose it's very expensive, not over a couple of bucks. But we had the handle here we could carry it by. I had all my possessions in there, which wasn't much, just clothes. No shoes, just a change of clothes. I had the whole future ahead of me, and I didn't know what to expect. But I didn't want to stay in an orphanage.
On the journey west, the agents tried to comfort the children. They gave each child a hand Bible and spoke of the good homes that awaited. Sometimes the agents sang to the children.
Where the fragrant breezes sigh, from the city's blight to the green woods bright, like the birds of summer fly. Oh, children, dear children, young, happy, pure.
I can't remember exactly what he told me, but my biological father gave me a pink envelope with his address on it and asked me to be sure to let him know when we got to our destination. I took the envelope that my father had given me and put it on my inside coat pocket, trying to be very protective of it. And that night, why, of course, like all kids, we went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up, and I guess the first thing I thought of was my pink envelope, and I reached in my pocket, and it was gone. And I was kind of heartbroken, of course. And I asked Leo to get down on the floor and help me look for it. And we were looking for it when one of the caretakers came by and asked us what we were doing, and told her that we were looking for the envelope. I was afraid to tell her anything else because the punishment sometimes is a little severe. And she told me to get up, get in my seat to where I was going. I would not need that envelope.
As the train drew nearer to its destination, the children's clothes were changed, their faces washed. They were prepared for the defining moment of the trip, the distribution. In local newspapers, notices had run in advance encouraging people to come see the homeless children on the stage of a meeting hall. As the children waited to be displayed, they were urged to make a good impression on the audience.
November 7th, 1883. I was a witness of the distribution of 40 children in Minnesota. The children arrived at about 3:30 p.m. and were taken directly from the train to the courthouse. Mr. Matthews set the children one by one before the crowd and gave a brief account of each. Applicants for the children were then admitted in order behind the railing and rapidly made their selection. If the child gave the assent, the bargain was concluded on the spot. It was a pathetic sight to see those children, tired young people, weary, travel-stained, confused by the excitement, peering into those strange faces. Hastings' heart.
The distributions continued for 75 years, until 1929.
Dang.
It was a huge stage, and we were all set up there in 2 rows of semicircle. And the people were already down in the audience. They had been notified ahead the day before that we would be there.
The big day came, and we arrived on a Sunday in Kirksville, Missouri, at the Presbyterian Church. We marched down the aisle, 13 of us, and they would walk past us, and you were viewed. And that's a strange feeling. You'd never been looked at in that way before. You'd never seen people looking all around you.
That was an ordeal that no child should go through. They pulled us and pushed us and shoved us. And this old man, I had never seen anything like anybody chewing tobacco. I knew nothing about it. This old man came up and his mouth was all stained brown. And I thought, well, he'd been eating chocolate candy or something. Then he said, open your mouth.
Boy.
I looked at him.
Oh, shoot.
And he said, I want to see about your teeth. I opened my mouth. He stuck his finger in my mouth and rubbed over my teeth. And his old dirty hands just, I wanted to bite, but I didn't.
The local minister, banker, doctor, and other leading citizens were asked by the Children's Aid Society to form a committee to check qualifications of potential foster parents. An agent explained the society's rules to the crowd. All placements were to be made on a trial basis. Legal adoption was not required. Dissatisfied children could leave. Those who stayed were expected to work, as contributing members of the household. The foster parents were asked to house, feed, and educate the New York children in the same manner as their own. Brace's system put its faith in the kindness of strangers.
Well, I lived on the farm out west, and my uncle was a doctor in Denton, and I went in to see him that day, and he says, I was down, they called me last night down at Davis's rooming house. They had a bunch of children down there, and one of them was sick. Said they've got those children to find homes, give them homes. Said if I was you, I'd go down there and get one of those boys. He could be a big help to you as he grew up, and you could be a big help to him. And I went down, and the lady said, now here they all are. There's 8 or 10 in that row, different kinds and different expressions, and all different places they'd come from. Some from Italy, some from other countries. And they was and they just let me pick the one I wanted. This little sharp-eyed boy, I said, I'll take that one. And they fixed him up and had a little bundle of clothes, and we took him home. And I was 19, and he was 9, I think.
I wasn't very comfortable up on that stage because I didn't know where I was going to go. And I was old enough to realize that there could be a lot of mistakes made. A farmer came up to me, and he felt my muscles, and he says, Joel, you'd make a good hand on the farm. And I says, well, I'm not going to go home with you. I says, you smell too bad. You haven't had a bath probably in a year. And he took me by the arm and was going to lead me off the stage, and I bit him. And that didn't work, so I kicked him. And so everybody in the audience thought I was incorrigible. They didn't want me because I was out of control. I was crying there in the chair by myself, and a school teacher came up there, and she says, I'd like to take you home with me and play with my boy for a week, and if nobody wants you then, well, then we'll have to send you back to New York. But this elderly couple in their 60s were contacted by this school teacher, and they had no children, never did have. They had a stillborn about 30 years previous. So he put me on his lap in this school teacher's home and got acquainted with me. And he said, if you go home with me, I'll buy you a pony and a bicycle and a puppy. So I thought that was great. So I went home with them, and I finally got the best home of the whole bunch. But I always thought that biting and kicking did me a lot of good. The best day of my life.
He was a little Italian, still had a little that Italian talk. Well, he was great. We was in a buggy. We had to get him in our buggy and go 18 miles to our farm. He enjoyed sitting down there holding those lines. Of course, the horse done most of the driving anyway. And we got out on that farm. He'd never been on a farm. He thinks that's the world to him. He saw chickens and hogs and sheep and everything. And somebody gave him a little old pup, after a year or two, an Airedale dog. And of course, he thought he was a rich man having a dog. No children have them in New York. It was interesting to see him, the city ways he had, and put him in the country.
We got to the house, and this nice old lady met me and says, you look all right. Well, they had already had their supper.
All right, y'all. So we're about halfway through. I am currently just taking notes on themes and things that are going on. I'm not writing down like every detail, but I gotta come up with some themes, and then I got some questions to answer. So I actually thought this would be boring, but I actually like what I'm watching. I do tend to watch a lot of documentaries. So this one It's cool, and I like that it's about the Children's Aid Society. The Children's Aid Society is actually a facility that's still open, so I think this is pretty interesting. So we got about 27 more minutes. If you are here, thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. I'm going to continue now.
So she fixed a plate for me and this big goblet of milk. And I tasted it, and I said, it's sour. She heard it. She could hear that. She said, it is not. I churned it fresh this morning. Well, I still didn't know what she was talking about. I said, I don't like it. So you don't have to have it. Anyway, she took the glass away, and her daughter-in-law was waiting for her husband to come out because the war was over now, and her husband was stationed at Langley Field, Virginia. And he wouldn't be home soon. So I could sleep with her that night. And that was really a night. She told me just exactly why those people wanted me, that she would be gone. And I was growing up, and I would be big enough to take care of that house. And that's all they wanted with me. But she wouldn't be there to help me. And I said, what can I do? She says, go back to the hotel. Just tell them that this is just not for you. So she drew me a map of where I was, back to the Beckham. And I walked in, and I never got such dirty looks in my life as I did when they saw me walk in that door. Well, what happened to you? And I said, they didn't want a child. They wanted a slave.
The children whom no one selected were escorted back to the train and taken to the next stop on the line.
By that time, there was some 20, maybe 25 children left on the train, along with my brothers and I. And we eventually wound up in a little town down in deep northeast Texas called Clarksville, Texas. And we were lined up again there and examined and everything. And a couple came by, picked up Gerald, who was only 2.5 years old. I don't suppose the child had ever been shown any love or anything, because when the lady bent over to talk to him and everything, he just almost jumped in her arms, and you could see him grab her around the neck. And so they decided to take Gerald. There again, I felt terrible because I knew I was losing a brother right there. And they took Gerald over to the table, did the paperwork, and he was just happy as he could be until they started out the door, and he suddenly realized that he was losing his brothers, and he turned around and screamed right loud for his brothers. And of course, that broke my heart again.
Next morning, the door of the room opened up, and two men were standing in the doorway, and one of them, I started here and looked up like that, and I thought I would never quit looking. That was, I thought, the biggest man I ever saw in my life. Probably was. It was my dad. Would be my foster dad. And he said, may we come in? And the matron said, oh, yes, come on. Says, this is Hazel sitting right here on the floor. Says, get up, Hazel, and shake hands. And I got up. And he says, you're going to be my little girl. And I says, if you ever hit me, I'll never get up. He says, dear, I'll never hit you. I'll never hit you. And he never did. He never did.
Children were sent to Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota, Kansas, and Texas. 47 states in all. They were taken to sod houses and cabins, to large farmhouses and shopkeepers' homes in town. From the very beginning, many of these placements, made so hastily, did not go according to plan.
Julia McCann came to us with very erroneous ideas. She expected to be taken care of by rich people.
I had your son for about 3 months, and he did not suit me. So I gave him up to Mr. Gelson. and he gave him to a good farmer, and the farmer could not keep him.
We farmers can hardly imagine how it is that these boys can be so awkward on a farm. I have promised to give them a horse apiece if they will stay and be good boys. I fear that they will run away.
Children drifted from farm to farm. Some even made their way back to New York. There were stories of children landing in reform school in Michigan. From Indiana, rumors of children on the dole. A Southerner named J.H. Mills claimed that men needing labor, their slaves being set free, take these boys and treat them as slaves.
There was one boy, I refused to go home with this farmer too. He took this other boy, Albert, maybe I shouldn't name him, but, and they kept him on the farm, wouldn't send him to school, worked him 18 hours a day in the field, and he just lost his mind. And he died at an early age, less than 30 years of age. And he finally ran away from home, but it was too late. They wouldn't let him go to town and see people, afraid he'd tell them how badly he was treated. And he never saw anybody. I saw him about 2 times during the whole time he was there, about 10 years. I just saw him twice. And he was afraid to talk to me. And I couldn't help him. I didn't know enough to help him. But my dad always thought that he was abused, so he was afraid to talk about it, afraid he'd be abused some more.
The record books are filled with names and dates, details of departures and arrivals, but say little about the quality of the children's treatment. The extent of abuse is unknown. The Society's goal was to visit each child once a year, but there were only a handful of agents to monitor thousands of placements. With reports of children drifting through the countryside, Brace consented in 1883 to an independent investigation. It found the local committees were ineffective at screening foster parents. Supervision was lax. Many older boys had run away. But its overall conclusion was positive. The majority of children under 14 were leading satisfactory lives.
Dear Mr. Brace, when I lived in New York, I had no bonnet, and now I have more bonnets than I can wear. And I get no whippings. And I have a father and mother and brothers and sisters here, and they are kinder to me than my own ever were. I think I will never be happier than I am now.
In New York, the children of a new generation of immigrants were facing deprivation and homelessness. Brace continued to insist that removal from the city was the street children's best hope for deliverance. He used photographs like these, made by his protege Jacob Riis, to dramatize their plight. The Society boasted about the story of 2 street kids, Andrew Burke and John Brady, who were sent to the same Indiana town on the same day. On arrival, the judge who adopted Brady considered him the homeliest, toughest, most unpromising boy in the whole lot. He said, "I had a curious desire to see what could be made of such a specimen of humanity." John Brady grew up to be governor of Alaska. His friend Andrew Burke grew up to be governor of North Dakota. But many rural people viewed the orphan-trained children with suspicion, as incorrigible offspring of drunkards and prostitutes. The children spoke with the accents of Ireland, Germany, and Italy. Unlike most Midwesterners, many were Catholic. One official said, what was good for New York was very bad for the West.
I have known several of these city Arabs being provided with homes and never heard of but one that proved to be honest. I believe it is the blood and not the education that tells.
Bad blood. That's what I used to consider it. We kids from New York were of inferior stock. Bad blood is what's running through those veins. And some people have bad blood and others have blue blood. Well, the bad blood is supposed to carry the bad things down from your parents through your life. All the bad things are supposed to come through that bad blood. And you don't have a chance to do better.
The first day of school, they took me to the third grade. I could hear whispers among the kids that there's an orphan, and he's going to be in our class. And they say, you don't know what his background is. And they kind of dodge me, and they say, well, he's an orphan. We don't want to have anything to do with him. Because they wasn't used to that. They were farming families and well-knit families, most of them, and they didn't have that kind of trouble.
You know, I was never invited to birthday parties. I would see other children going to birthday parties, and it really hurt. Children didn't want me. They didn't want to play with me. And I remember possibly in the 4th grade when I was walking with this girl, and this mother came to the screen door and she said, haven't I told you I don't want you to walk with her? I don't want you to talk to her. Get away from her. And that's the way it was. It was very hurtful because sometimes I'd go home and look in the mirror. What was the matter with me? I didn't know. Somehow those people, the ones I went to school with, knew that I was a bastard.
The children expressed their hopes, fears, and loneliness in letters they wrote to Brace and his colleagues.
Elkhart, Indiana, May 28, 1865. Dear friend, the place where I lived I did not like. They whipped me till I was all black and blue. I told the lady I did not like to stay there, so she told me I might leave. I have a good place now. I hope you will write to me and let me know if you see any of my folks in New York. I would give 100 worlds like this if I could see my mother. Katie Murphy.
Annie Williams was sent to live in this house in Battle Creek, Michigan. An Irish orphan, she'd been discovered by one of Brace's agents, sleeping in a doorway near the New York docks. Brace visited Annie while on a field trip to the Midwest. She later wrote him this letter.
January 12th, 1862. Dear Mr. Brace, it is rather pleasant today for winter weather. I go to school and enjoy myself first rate. I would like to teach school when I get a good education. But sometimes I have a great deal of trouble and woe. I build many air castles, and before they are entirely constructed, they tumble down in a heap of ruins. I suppose we must take life's journey as it comes. Annie Williams.
You didn't think about the years ahead of time. You're trying to think a day ahead of time, and you live in hopes that the good will come, but you doubt it at the same time. Anyways, the Nailings took me in, and they took me, gave me a room of my own that was almost unbelievable for anyone to have, a boy that age, to have a room of their own. The next morning, we went in for a huge breakfast. and the breakfast was set in the main dining room, which was an honor. And the prayer was most gratifying, and it gave me a new thought on life, that maybe this wasn't so bad after all. That I'd kind of wait and see how things worked out.
You have to have something deep inside of you that will make you want to keep going. When I went to school, they had a game. They played send in and send out was the name of it. And the width of the playground, they would line up and they'd go after people. Well, they wanted fast runners. So I started running home and running back to school and running. Wherever I went, I was running. And one day I finally talked them into, please let me play. Just please, just once let me play and go after somebody. That was all it took. I was in 6th grade. After that, they fought over who got me because I could catch anybody there was.
Nobody seemed to want to keep me very long. I was shuffled from one home to another for many months until I finally was placed with the Carmens. That's me. And that's my calf. I made pets out of all the calves, and they just tagged me everywhere. I really had a wonderful time. They were so good to me, and as far as having a wonderful family, I was one of the lucky. They were always there for me when I needed them, always.
Danville, Indiana, June 5th, 1865. You wanted to know if John Ryer is with me. He is with me, and always will be.
Aww.
If he were our own son, we could not love him more than we do. We have given him our name. We call him Charlie Highland. He thinks we are his parents, and we want him to. I love him so much that it would break my heart to part with him. Mrs. Sally Highland.
My adopted mother, Miss Nailing, she lived with a horror that I would eventually go back to New York to my biological people. And of course, after 2 or 3 years with them, that was just past thinking, because I was happy where I was. And I don't imagine I would have gone back if I'd have had the chance. But even after I was grown, she had that horror.
I remember my mother hiding.
Hey y'all, if you're just coming in, welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. I am watching a documentary. There's about 9 minutes and 30 seconds left. I'm watching a documentary for school, taking some notes, and then I had to write a paper on this documentary. So the paper involves themes, and then they're going to ask me whether or not I think the orphan train actually worked. So I have some thoughts in my head. I've been actually drafting what I'm going to write in this paper. So thank y'all for staying. And if you haven't already said hi, if you're hiding in them bushes watching this documentary, please come out and say hey. And let's enjoy the last 9 minutes and 30 seconds together, and then we can talk. I'll put up the link. So if you want to come up and you want to say something, you can say something, or we'll just talk. So here we go.
Getting a letter one time from the Dr. Hoffman, want to know if I was happy and well cared for and all. And she put it up on top of a corner shelf, and it stayed up there, I guess, for 10 or 12 years.
When I got the letter that my mother had died, I just felt like the door had closed. I just walked out of the house, walked down the road. It was cotton picking time. Daddy said I could stay at the house. So I did, but I didn't cry. I just felt, well, it's the end of something. And there was always that hope that she would get better and I would get a letter, or maybe she would come somehow or other. I still had that hope.
Nobody can understand the loneliness that an orphan feels. It's a loneliness. You just don't know who you are. You don't know where you come from. So there's that with combination that if you could just only have known your biological mother, if you just could have seen her.
As far as I have been able to research my biological mother, never made an inquiry. You'd have thought maybe there'd have been a little ache in her heart to wonder whatever happened to me. And if I die, should be fortunate enough to go to heaven. And if I saw her in heaven, I guess I would speak and say, and extend a hand and say, my name is Lorraine and you're Marguerite, aren't you? I would not say, I am your daughter. I would leave that up there to her to put two and two together. And unless she had a comment, I believe I would walk on. Because the true mother and dad who loved me, cared for me in sickness and in health, were the ones that cared so much that they legally adopted me. They loved me and they were my mother and my father, and I think they are the only two ones that should be called rightfully mother and father.
It hurt awfully bad being separated from my family. But as I got older and realized I would have never stood a chance if they had left me in that environment, I would have never gotten to do anything I was capable of. By them picking me up and moved me clear away from it, as bad as it was afterwards, I got a chance to do what I was capable of doing, making something myself, being a good mother.
I think he looked on me as a father. I feel like he did, and my wife as a mother. And we went through life together. He has passed away, I think he's 72 years old. And I was always, and still am, glad that I did that. One thing, to take that boy and raise him.
This is the picture. This is the knickers and the high lace boots and the blouse that I wore on the train. And this is the picture I first had. I was 8.5 then. I'd been with my parents for 6 months, and they dressed me up for the picture. My mother wanted it when I was all dressed up so she could show it to her relatives. She just wanted to show me off. My father couldn't wait till he could buy me my first pony. He just went all over the country trying to find a pony for me. He was a very successful merchant. He owned a hardware store, was the president of the bank, and he owned 2 farms. I never did work on a farm. He never asked me to. I never had a spanking. Never had a spanking of any kind or a correction. My dad would put me on his lap and say, I want you to be a good boy, and you made some mistakes today, and I want you to be a good citizen. And he never did spank me, but it got next to me, you know. Even he wanted to give me a good start. The kindness is what got next to me. He saved my life. I tried to live the life that Alvin Bobo wanted me to live. And I think I have.
The orphan train program was widely imitated. 40,000 children were sent to Catholic communities by a religious order the Sisters of Charity. And organizations in Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago relocated thousands more. When Charles Loring Brace died in 1890, he was acclaimed as the most influential child saver of the 19th century. But in the 20th century, America's vision of childhood was changing. The emphasis was shifting from the virtues of work to the benefits of play, from children's economic value to their emotional needs. On May 31st, 19...
Sorry, y'all, I gotta write that down. They're saying too much stuff I need to write down, so I'm gonna have to pause this for like 10 seconds. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that.
29, the Children's Aid Society sent 3 boys to Sulphur Springs, Texas. It was the last of the orphan trains. Back when he began, Brace said, "When a child of the streets stands before you in rags with tear-stained face, you cannot easily forget him. And yet you are perplexed what to do. The human soul is difficult to interfere with. You hesitate how far you should go."
Ooh, yo, I thought this would be so boring, but it was really good. I took a lot of notes. Look how much notes I took. I'm gonna show y'all my notebook. This is like a page and a half. It's another 2 pages. And this is another page. I'm so excited. Look. So I don't know how much I gotta write for this paper. Let me see all comments. I was kind of following up your comments. I was reading from my phone, even though I said I wouldn't use my phone. So y'all, I'm so energetic after watching this. Before I was tired. Now I'm really into it. So what do y'all think? I know what I think. I'm not going to share it. This I'm so sorry, Logical. I'm so sorry. When I get more familiar with how to use StreamYard, I will look for some like videos and stuff. Maybe some, I don't know. I've been watching funny goat videos. Like goats just be fainting randomly. So I've been watching those. So I'll figure out how to like get some videos. But y'all, I'm a little bit sad. So what's your opinion? I wrote down my opinion already. Do y'all think that the orphan trains were a good idea? Do you think that do you think that it was a good idea? Do you think it worked? Because I'm not going to say my opinion. I'm going to write it in the paper. I wrote it down in the book already, but dang, I really want to say my opinion. Shoot. I didn't like the orphan trains because the fact that some children were abused. I didn't like that. But of course, I'm not going to like it because children are abused. Even though some children got a great life, though. So I'm going to write about both sides of it. Because some children had a great life, like that last guy. He was blessed. And I like him and I like his dad. But the other ones who were beating the kids, making the kids pick cotton and doing all of that. Yes, some of the kids were okay. So the lady with the white hair, her mom was in the hospital, I believe. So she was on her own and they took her and they put her on a train because there was nobody to care for her. Some of the kids were homeless, depending on where they had what they said in the movie was the bad blood, because they were like criminals or they were like on the streets. So they rounded up those children, but they were either abandoned or their parents died. That's why they were on the orphan train. I actually wrote a quote here, a good quote. Where's the quote at? Tell you the quote that I wrote down. Where's the quote? Oh, according to the police, yeah, they just took some of the children. You're right. According to the police, the children that they took were destined for a life of misery, shame, and crime. So they didn't want anybody to be doing any crimes. They didn't want them to taint society like that. So they just sent them on the train. They just sent them on the train. Some parents just didn't want to take care of their kids though, and that hurts me. I'm really sensitive. So some parents didn't want to take care of their kids. So let me put up this link if y'all want to come up and talk, or if you guys want to come up and ask me if I'm feeling better compared to yesterday. I am smiling, so I am feeling a little bit better compared to yesterday. But I kind of like doing my homework with you guys. It kind of makes me feel like I'm in class, because I do a lot of things from home. So I like to, have human interaction. And this is kind of human interaction. Y'all, why am I sure all crooked? This is human interaction. So once I figure out where to find this link, I'm gonna post it. Where's the link? If you were a link. Oh wow. Oh wow, logical. I didn't even know that. See, I'm taking well, for some reason, I don't know why she chose this documentary. The class I'm taking is on social policy. So I think this orphan train might have been the catalyst for other similar things. And I'm very curious as to where she's going to go with this after I write the response paper. So it's literally a couple questions. I guess I could tell y'all now the questions I have to answer. Actually, I don't have the questions up. They're in my head. But let me look for this link. People. Oops. Oh, I don't know where the link is at. I don't remember. Is it right here? Oh, copy invite link. I'm going to post it as a. Yeah, she might do that. I was thinking, because a part of the movie or a part of the documentary, they said that they had their workers come out and check on the children once a year. That was their goal, so they were doing that. So it kind of does sound like the foster care system, because now to be a foster parent, they do spot checks, not really spot checks. They do the interviews, they do the home checks and everything. Y'all, I got my bracelets on. These are my bracelets, but I have bracelets for sale. Just throwing that out there. I can show y'all my bracelets, because I can't resist. I'm gonna show y'all. These are my favorites. Y'all, I have trouble focusing, so I know I was just about to show y'all the link, but these bracelets are for sale and they really nice. Get you your bracelets, y'all. They going. I keep making more because they going. So click the link if you want to order for my Etsy shop. I do have an order that's going to be shipped out by tomorrow. Tomorrow is Monday, right? Yep. So I'm doing all of my shipping tomorrow. So if you place an order, you get that tracking information if I can get it to you. Those are the blues. These are the shiny ones. I love them. I want them all for myself. And I'm currently learning how to make waist beads, because by popular demand, that's what is wanted. So I'm learning how to make waist beads. So these are my beautiful bracelets. I'll probably clip this part. Bracelets. Okay, now I'm trying to find the link. So I copied the invite link. We have comments here. I'm going to post this comment here. That's the link. Okay, so I'm going to pin the link now. How does Christina do this? How does this happen? Oh, no. Don't click the link. Y'all, I done click my own link. What am I doing? How do I pin this? Y'all, I don't know how to pin the link. Oh, here we go. So the link is pinned if anybody wants to come up and chat. But I see some good conversation in the chat right now. Let me make it bigger so I can actually read it. Okay. Oh, I forgot I can do this. Children. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good point. Good point. Good point. So y'all, the link is pinned. I'm not gonna keep y'all on here for much longer, but if anybody wants to come up, if you haven't already, please share this live. Share this live. Let's see if we can get a couple more people here. Share this live. Oops. Sorry. Okay. Ugh. Now I gotta figure out, my assignment is due on September 25th. It is September 21st. I'm wondering if I should just write this paper now. Not on live. I'm not gonna sit here and write a paper with y'all. I'm not gonna do that. That's gonna be super boring. But I'll be here for a little while longer, you know. I might go, I don't know. Let me stop rocking from side to side before y'all think I'm crazy. They even interview old neighbors. I mean, I guess that's good so you can get a better picture. So that makes me wonder if hypothetically you don't get along with your neighbors because I don't know, the fruit keeps falling off of your tree into their yard. Yes, I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. No, I lied. That is not my work schedule. I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. I got a weird work schedule, but that's because I needed to have my Thursdays off for class. So I have to sacrifice my weekends so I can get a couple weekdays off. And then when I start internship, I'm going to need weekdays. So my weekends are going to be working for a good while. All right, I got a vote for me to start the paper, so I'm going to start the paper. I got all these great notes here. So I might as well start the paper. But back to what I was saying. So if you don't like your neighbor because their fruit tree always drops fruit in your yard, and then you don't get along with your neighbor because of that, when you're getting an interview for foster care, they're going to interview your neighbor. That neighbor is going to give you a bad review. That's not fair. But I guess lesson learned. If you want to be a foster mom, get along with your neighbors, past employers, friends, if you can. I don't know. It's good that they're doing the investigations that they do now, because that visiting once a year to check in on the kids, that's not enough, man. It's funny because the children's okay, good. See, if I thought, well, no, I don't want to be a foster parent right now due to my current situation, but I would totally do it. I would. I'm hoping to birth my own children, but we'll see what happens in the future. You never know. I might get my own place, foster some children. You never know. Or I can just get a dog. I can do that too. Get a dog. So I've been on here for an hour and 13 minutes, 20 seconds. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. Anybody got some plans for tonight? Well, yeah, I figured they would look in your refrigerator to make sure you got food. But so my question is, if they're looking up in your refrigerator and all you got in there is like leftover Popeyes and McDonald's and KFC, and you don't have any like water or vegetables, I wonder if they would use that against you. What if you can't cook? I'm wondering if they would use that against you. Y'all, yesterday I was feeling bad. I was feeling bad yesterday. Today I'm feeling much better. I talked to my friend. Shout out to my girl 87. That's my girl, man. She got me feeling good. Love you, girl. But I was feeling bad yesterday. My goodness. I never felt that bad. Well, no, it's been a long time since I felt as down as I felt yesterday, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I knew this was going to happen. You know, I still don't feel good, but I don't feel as bad as yesterday, which tells me tomorrow I'm going to feel better. Then I'll feel more better, more better. Ew, that sounds yucky. Let's try that again. Tomorrow I'll feel better. And the next day I'll feel better. And the next day. And the next day. So it'll be more. And then more. And then more. So get a fire extinguisher and put my gun safe up high. Wow. So I know that you have to have a gun safe, but I never knew you had to put it up like higher. Because my dad has a bunch of gun safes, but then again, we don't have any children. There's no children around. But I never knew the gun safe had to be at a certain, what is it, a certain feet? Oh no, a certain height. I never would have known that. Absolutely logical. Absolutely. Shoot. I gotta figure out how to sneak out to the post office tomorrow during my lunch break. But that's a side note. It'll get easier. You're right. You're right. So y'all, I'll stay on here for about 5 more minutes. If anybody wants to click the link, click that link. If not, that's okay. Did I pin it? I think I pinned it. It should be pinned. Oh my goodness. Let me make sure I pinned it. It should be pinned. Okay. Yep, it is pinned. So if y'all want to come up, y'all can come up. If not, that's okay. I wish I could give virtual hugs. I love hugs. You can come up and just give me a big hug. I can hug myself. Or I can get my baby. Hold on. Oh yeah, I'm absolutely going to be late coming back from the post office. I only get an hour break. And who knows when that Uber's going to get here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get my baby. Say hello to Mr. Stinky Face. This doll he opens his mouth. I could put my finger in his mouth. This doll has really been there for me during difficult times. Like, I've really been snuggling him up. I've been loving on him, especially throughout these past few days. I haven't been feeling too good. So Mr. Stinky Face has really been there for me. He's a full body silicone. He was not cheap. Let me put him a little closer so you can see his features. His hair's a little crazy, but this is my Mr. Stinky Face. With the little cheekies. I love my doll so much. Like, he's really been helping me get through these two. I don't want to call them losses because that implies that they're dead, but one of them I had to walk away from, a person that meant the world to me, and another one, a person that I wanted to give my heart to. I just gotta let it go. So that's okay. But this is my baby. Yeah, I'm gonna pray about it. I also gotta pay my tithes to church, so I'll do the same thing, or I'll do it simultaneously. But I love my baby. Love my baby. He got his little stinky toes. I love my baby. Y'all, this doll, because it's a silicone, I'm not gonna show you, but this doll has a private part. It's so anatomically correct. I'm really happy. It's the closest thing to a real baby. So my next baby is going to be birthed by me. But until then, Mr. Stinky Face and I will be loving each other. Kick. Toes. Kick. Toes. See my Mr. Stinky Face. I love him so much. And he's weighted, so it just brings me peace to hold my Mr. Stinky Face. I love him. I do. I'm gonna brush up his hair a little bit. Love my Mr. Stinky Face. This is not the only doll I have, but I'm not gonna show any of the other ones right now. This one is just the one. This one is therapeutic for me because he's really soft. You can see he's squishy, super soft, full body silicone. And he just makes me feel good. But yeah, I'm going to pray about my decision because my heart is like broken. But I got my Mr. Stinky Face. So I said I was going to be on here until 1 hour and 20 minutes. Oh man. I'm glad that you made the right decision. It's never easy letting someone go, but when I tell you this is 100% the right decision for me. One of these days I'll actually like tell y'all the story behind who this individual is, what happened, why I had to let them go, but I'm just not ready to talk about it yet. It's nothing like extreme. I just don't want to give the information away because it's so fresh. And I'm kind of like, not too it's just not I'm not ready. I'm gonna tell y'all though. I'm gonna give y'all a story time. Right, Mr. Stinky Face? Let me give y'all a story time, but you see his belly. Look at Mr. Stinky Face's belly. Belly, 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 belly. God is good all the time, all the time. Oh, sorry. This is not how you hold a baby. Mr. Stinky Face. God is good all the time, all the time. My God is good. My heart may be broken, but it will soon be filled. I declare it, and it's going to happen. So, y'all, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving me this encouragement. It really means a lot, the kind words you're saying, and thank you for sticking with me watching this documentary. I'm really glad that y'all liked it. I liked it too. I thought it would be boring, but it was actually good. I'm going to continue to snuggle on my Mr. Stinky Face, and I'm going to come off of here. Yes, I almost dropped the baby. Oh, I should tell YouTube, this is a doll. This is not a human being. This is a silicone toy. Even though they're not considered toys, they're considered collectibles. This is a silicone collectible. I'm tempted to show y'all my other one, but nah, we'll save that for another day. So I kind of like looking at myself with my Mr. Stinky Face. So I'll give y'all an extra minute with me and my baby. Me and my baby. Love my baby. Y'all, my ex hated my babies. He said so much not nice things about me. All right. He said so much not nice things about me and my babies. And no, it's not my ex that I had to let go of. That been there, done that. The Lord healed me from that ordeal. So I'm good on that. But love my babies. So thank y'all for loving on my babies as well. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite. Hopefully you don't have any bed bugs. Bye, y'all. How the heck do I end this? Where's the end button? Oh, I zoomed in. I couldn't find it. Okay, bye, y'all.